As it is right now, Hollywood is a screenwriter's dream. In 2023, there's nothing a writer can think of that can't be made into a movie and shown around the world. That is, if the movie has enough money to make it. Some producers are willing to pay a lot of money to make their filmmaking dreams come true. But it's up to the audience to decide if the money was worth it or not. Today we'll talk about the top 10 most expensive movies of all time. But before we begin our countdown, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon. Number 10. The Chronicles of Narnia, Prince Caspian, $225 million. The Chronicles of Narnia is a popular children's book series by C.S. Lewis that was turned into a multi-million-dollar movie that came out in 2008. Given that the cost of making the movie was already crazy high, the producer decided to cut some costs. Because of tax credits, much of the movie was shot in the UK. Part of the reason for the high costs is how much it cost to make Narnia, which is a fantasy world. Over 7,000 props were used in the movie, and it took 200 carpenters to build the sets. During the production, 35 full-time workers were hired just to make props. The high cost of making Prince Caspian paid off in the end, and the movie made $419,665,568 at the box office. Number 9. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, $225 million. Part 2 of Disney's Pirates of the Caribbean series, Dead Man's Chest, is tied for one of the most expensive movies ever made. This movie came out in 2006, and Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, and Keira Knightley were all in it. The price of having so many famous people in this movie is a big reason why it costs so much to make. On its own, Johnny Depp's payment was about $20 million. Not only were the props not cheap, but the famous ships the Black Pearl and the Flying Dutchman had to be built from scratch for the movie. At the box office, Dead Man's Chest made $1,066,179,725. Number 8. Man of Steel, $225 million. Man of Steel comes in at the very bottom of the list, tied with Dead Man's Chest and Prince Caspian. In this 2013 superhero hit, Krypton is running out of natural resources, and Superman has to save the planet's people. The marketing and distribution of this movie also cost $150 million. This may seem like a lot at first, but since this was such an important and highly anticipated movie, the producers were sure to make back most of the money even before the movie came out. In fact, Walmart, Nikon, CNN, and Budweiser, just to name a few, paid $160 million just to put their products in Man of Steel. Also, when it came out in theaters, Man of Steel made $662 million around the world. Number 7. The Dark Knight Rises, $230 million. Superhero movies are very popular right now, and some of the most expensive movies ever made are definitely about the men who can save the world. The Dark Knight Rises, which came out in 2012, joins Man of Steel on the list of the most expensive movies ever made. This film, which was directed by Christopher Nolan, is full of action and suspense. The Avengers and Skyfall made more money. 2012 was a tough year for good movies, and even though Dark Knight Rises had a big budget, it just couldn't keep up. That doesn't mean that the movie didn't make any money. In fact, it made a good amount of money at the box office, $1,084,439,099 to be exact. Number 6. Avatar, $237 million. James Cameron, who directed Avatar, was supposed to start making it right after the release of Titanic, which was a huge hit. In fact, it was supposed to be released in 1999, but it didn't come out until 2009. So why did it take 10 years? Cameron decided that computers weren't good enough yet to make his vision come true, so he had to wait for them to catch up. Even though the groundbreaking filming techniques and graphics were what cost the most to make this movie, there were also some other, more unusual costs. For example, Cameron's idea for his characters was to make them speak a whole new language. To do this, he hired linguist Paul Frommer. Avatar made $2,782,275,172 at the box office, so all the costs, no matter how crazy, were worth it in the end. Number 5. John Carter, $250 million. Even when a lot of money is spent on a movie, it may not do well. This was the case with Disney's John Carter, which came out in 2012. That's not too surprising, since it only made $282,778.01 in the end, and most of that came from people watching it outside of the US. In fact, Disney did notice how much money was wasted on John Carter. After the movie came out, Disney questioned how much money was spent on filming techniques for what should have been a much cheaper movie. Also, it made the company think about how they spend their money and how much they spend on movies with lesser-known stars. Since everyone knows that movies with big stars like Johnny Depp will make a lot of money. Number 4. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, $250 million. The 2009 movie Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince was based on the sixth book by J.K. Rowling with the same name. This movie was a huge hit at the box office, making $934,416,487. Warner Brothers spent the most on this one of all the Harry Potter movies. Given how many Harry Potter fans there are, it's no surprise that the movie got off to a great start on opening night, making the most money in one day in the history of movies. The movie then went on to make $394 million in just 5 days, which broke the world record for a 5-day gross. Warner Brothers didn't waste $250 on John Carter, but they did spend that much on the Half-Blood Prince. Number 3. Spider-Man 3, $258 million. Spider-Man has been one of the most popular superheroes of the 21st century, so it's not surprising that he has a role in one of the most expensive movies ever made, and that it made $890,871,626 at the box office. Spider-Man came out at a time when movies were making a lot of money, so it was in good company when it hit theaters. In the summer of 2007, when Spider-Man 3 came out, some of the most successful movies ever made were shown. The summer of 2007 was the first time that $4 billion worth of movies came out. This included Spider-Man and other movies like Shrek 3 and Superbad. Number 2. Tangled, $260 million. It's not often that a princess movie makes a lot of money, so it's surprising that Disney's Tangled, based on the story of Rapunzel, made so much money in 2010. Rapunzel told the story of a young, sassy princess with long hair who was trapped in a tower, just like the original Brothers Grimm story. Most of the other top 10 most expensive movies of all time were about men. It might seem strange that making an animated movie could cost so much, but this is by far the most expensive one ever made, and it took 6 years to make. The main reason why making the movie was so hard was because it used both CGI and traditional animation. However, it was all worth it when the movie made $591,794,936 at the box office. Number 1. Pirates of the Caribbean, at World's End, $300 million. A lot of the movies on this list are from the same series, but Pirates of the Caribbean is the only one to make it to 2 spots. It cost $300 to make, making it by far the most expensive movie ever made. It also made $963,420,425 at the box office, which is more than 3 times what it cost to make. Scenes for this movie were shot all over the world, in places like Port Royal, Isla de Muerte, Tortuga, Pelagosto, Isla Cruces, and Singapore. Shipping the cast and crew all over the world did not come cheap. The movie made almost $1 billion at the box office, making it the most successful of 2007 and one of the most successful of all time. The third of the 4 Pirates of the Caribbean movies were called at World's End. So, that's it for today. Was this video helpful? Share your views in the comments section below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube